I want to give you a backwards way of doing things that at first might not make a whole lot of sense. But in my experience, when I've applied it and done it, and when the men that I've invited to try it do it, every single time, if you follow through the way I'm going to lay it out, you're going to surprise yourself with what you're actually capable of accomplishing. And in how short of a period of time you're going to be able to accomplish it in spite of whatever perceived obstacles you may or may not have right now. All right. So when we go about trying to do things, right, make things happen, generally speaking, we go about it with I got to make this happen mindset, right? Like, I'm going to do this and I want it to succeed, which makes sense, right? If you're going to do the thing, you want it to succeed. But I'm going to give you a twist on this. Try it out. Try it out. So instead of doing it with the pressure of it succeeding, do it to fail. Here's what I mean. I first heard this concept explained to me by Brooke Castillo, incredible life coach, incredible human. And she calls this concept, in her parlance, she calls this worthy fails. You can kind of think of this as moonshots. Taking moonshots, right? Shooting for the moon, and even if you miss, you land amongst the stars. But here's how it goes. Whenever we set about going after a goal for something that we haven't accomplished yet in our life, invariably and inevitably, most of us deal with some sort of self-doubts, right? Self-criticism, the inner critic, right? Limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging behaviors. The list goes on and on. You know what I'm talking about if you've ever gone for anything, right? A big part of where that comes from is the pressure we are putting on ourselves to do it right the first time we do it. Another way to say it is, you've probably heard this pretty often if you've been in personal development for any length of time, is this idea of having the fear of failure, right? The fear of failing. What we're afraid of is, shoot, what if I go for it? What if I do it? What if I give it my level, honest to God best, and I come up short? I fail. Then what? Right? That's actually a bit of a terrifying question to try to sit with that for a minute, right? It's almost like sometimes, if you're being honest, it's almost sometimes better to sit with the pain of not having it, but the hope and fantasy of having it, than to actually put in your level best and then not get it. Because then that would really suck. However, what's the saying? What's the law? One of the laws of thermodynamics, I think, or science, which is that for every action, there is an opposite and greater, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the more we push into something, the more it pushes back. The more we want something, then the more it maybe runs away. The needier we are, the harder it is to get something, right? Think about going after a girl or going after anything else in life, right? So what happens is that when we go after new things that we've never done before yet, our brain will invariably and inevitably throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at the wall to get us to self-sabotage and not change. Because, as I've shared in other videos, your brain and my brain, our brain's number one job is our survival. And the most predictable way to ensure our survival in the future is to get us to repeat the past, because we have survived 100% of all the days up until now. And on just pure logic 101, If we've survived 100% of everything up until now, if we keep repeating those conditions into the future, we will survive. Doesn't matter about goals and fulfillment and happiness. What matters is survival. To the brain, to the crocodile brain, the limbic brain. So it's going to do all these things, limiting beliefs, sabotaging behavior, self-critic, self-judgment, right? To get us to not follow through, fear of failure, etc. But if you say, I'm actually going to do this intentionally to fail. I just want to do it for shits and giggles. I just want to throw a dart in the dark at the dartboard, right? I just want to stand with my back to the basketball hoop and just fling the basketball. I'm going to do this to fail, but hey, if in a one chance in a million I put the ball through the basket, so be it. Cool. What happens is that if all the internal pressure comes from our brain, right, creating these narratives about why we can't succeed or why we might fail, then you simply open this release valve of all that pressure to say, oh, I'm not trying to succeed with the outcome. I just want to play around with the attempt. I'm just going to play with the moonshot. And this is what Brooke Castillo explains when she says worthy fails. It's taking an attempt at something that's worth doing, even if you fail, because it will at least you might get a lesson out of it, learn a skill out of it, push yourself past your comfort zone, right? So even in the process of failing, it's still worth doing it because you might get something out of even just doing it. And by taking a shot at by shooting the ball at the hoop, as the only way that you stand any chance of ever actually putting the ball through the hoop, right? So worthy fail, as an example, would be actually shooting the ball at the hoop, not just dribbling, not moving it around, not playing with the ball, but actually shooting it. So you got to go for it in some way. But when you do it with the perspective of, I'm going to do it to fail. Like, I don't actually expect myself to succeed. Fuck, I just want to do it for the story. I want to do it for shits and giggles, for funsies, so that I can then tell my buddies later this weekend or whatever, or at the bar or at the racetrack that, hey man, this past week, you know what I tried? I tried X, Y, and Z just to see if I could stick the landing, if I could do it. And here's what happened. You see what I'm saying? So you're now doing it from a place of zero pressure. You're expecting to fail. So there's no more fear of failure because you actually you're doing it to fail just to do it, just for the story of it. And then what you want to do is you want to commit to a certain number of worthy fails or moonshots every single week, month, or quarter, right? I think if I remember from the coaching I got from Brooke a couple of years back, her approach was schedule 25 worthy fails per quarter. So every 3 months or 12 weeks, you're going to do 25 different activities where it's definitely you taking a shot at the hoop, right? Like you're going for it in some way, where it is possible for there to be points put on the board should the ball go through the hoop, but you're not doing it with the pressure of, I have to put this ball through the hoop. You're just saying, let me just shoot this ball, put it up in the air, shoot at the hoop. Let me see what happens. Let me get the story, right? I'm going to fail, but I'll just put the ball up for fun. And so if you do that 25 times per quarter, you're going to do that 100 times a year. Now, here's the deal. You take 25 moonshots per quarter, 100 moonshots per year. I mean, even if you're a complete caveman and adult, you still will probably stick the landing on 3 to 7 of them, right? Just by the law of averages, just by sheer law of large numbers. You take 100 swings at anything. You take 100 swings at a baseball with a bat, right? I mean, even the biggest klutz in the world is probably going to connect the bat with the ball 3 to 7 times out of 100 swings, right? Like, just that's just rational logic. Like, that's not exaggerating in any way. That's not dressing it up or goosing it up to feel good and be positive, right? No. You take 100 swings, you're probably going to hit the ball 3 to 7 times. So if you think about a big goal, which is obviously by default, if it's a big goal, what do big goals mean by default? And most people don't think about this, but I once was thinking about this, and I was talking to my friends, and I said, by definition, when we have a big goal, here's a few things that we can know to be true. One is that if it's a goal, you don't have it, because it wouldn't be a goal if you did, right? And then if you don't have it, then that means you don't know what you don't know. That means you haven't learned some kind of skill set, some kind of knowledge. You don't have all the consciousness and self-identity of being congruent with the kind of person that has that outcome. And because of that, then by default, that means you're going to have some fear of failure, some self-doubt, some self-criticism, some self-sabotaging behaviors and beliefs, and on and on. Like those, if you have a goal, those 3 things, like dang near guaranteed, right? Just common sense. So anytime we're going after a big goal, AKA something we don't have it. We 100% don't know what all we don't know because we don't have it. And that means there's going to be some head trash to work our way through. Okay. So if you just take 100 swings at it, 100 moonshots per year, and you stick 3 to 7 of those, that might not sound like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but over a year, you stick the landing on 3 to 7 solid attempts at moving closer to the outcome that you might have a goal for, that actually could be massive quantum leaps. Like, let me give you an example. Let's say that, one of the biggest things maybe for your business would be to get joint ventures or referral partners, right? So check it out. Let's say that your 25 moonshots or worthy fails per quarter is to call on 25 potential referral partners for your business. Okay. That's 100 calls a year. And let's say 5 say yes. Just 5. I actually think you could probably do better, but let's just say just 5 say yes. Well, if 5 different businesses or operators or companies say yes to being your referral partner, and then over a year, and then those referral partners, let's say they're all promoting you 1 time per quarter to their database, to their clients. At the end of the year, you will have 5 different businesses or referral partners promoting you now per quarter going into the next year. And it's not like it only happens at the end of the year, because in that first quarter, if you got 5, right, that's basically 1 year referral partner per quarter. That means in Q1, your first 25 moonshots or worthy fails, you got 1 referral partner. Then in the next 3 months, you have 2 now, right? So you're actually getting success along the way. Now, let me ask you this. If something like getting referral partners was a thing that you need to do, how different would your revenue and business look like if you had 5 good referral partners promoting you every quarter right now? That would probably, for most small businesses, be a massive game changer. Do you see what I'm saying? Maybe you need to do 25 moonshots per week where you call on, maybe you're in sales, some kind of sales role. So you got to call on 25 new accounts per week. That's your goals. That's 5 a day. And now you're not even worrying about hitting the sales numbers. You're just literally picking up the phone and saying, I'm at least going to call them and just shoot the shit and talk to them. At least just do that and try to move the pigskin down the field. Try to just make something happen, but I'm expecting to fail. So let me just do this for fun. Tell the buddies later this weekend, man, I've tried to call on 25 new accounts. My palms were sweating, et cetera, whatever, right? But let's say out of 25, 1 says yes every week. That's 4 yeses a month. That's 52 yeses a year. right? Maybe you struggle with talking to women, so you approach 25 girls a quarter. You see a girl at a coffee shop, you at least say hi. You see a girl at maybe out at a bar, you at least say hello and ask her what her name is, whatever it might be. But you take 25 moonshots, 25 worthy fails, where it's A, something that's definitely out of your comfort zone. B, it's not just dribbling the ball. It's not just thinking about thinking. You're not preparing to prepare. You're actually shooting the ball at the hoop. That's the worthy fail. That's the moonshot, is you actually lob an attempt where there could be an outcome, but you're doing it to fail, just for fun. Just put in the reps, right? Maybe you're trying to build a YouTube channel like this guy, trying to help people become the greatest version of themselves, build really powerful self-identities, and elevate, right? Well, maybe for me, what it looks like, what taking moonshots looks like, is posting 25 videos a quarter, right? Where it's like, am I going to succeed in having a really big YouTube channel that reaches a lot of people and makes a really big difference in the world? Statistically speaking, no. Right? By definition, right now where I'm at in the progress of building this YouTube channel and making an impact on other men in life, I'm the definition of bright hope and dim chance. Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Statistically speaking, I am the definition of a bright hope, but a dim chance. Which I think is true for all of us wherever we start. Statistically speaking. But what if I were to just always, without fail, take 25 moonshots every quarter and make sure I post 25 videos every quarter, doing my best to share something that's helpful? That's 100 videos a year, right? So statistically, I'm not going to, most likely not going to be some really big channel with a lot of impact. But if I post 100 videos a year, 25 a quarter, and I do it just to fail, I do it just for the exercise of putting out some videos, learning to become a better speaker, becoming more confident, right? Getting clear on my own points of what I can help men and people with, clarifying my own thoughts, right? And let's say the videos reach somebody. Doing it if I do it just as worthy fails, moonshots. That's it. Without the expectation of having a big channel, reaching millions of men, making a really big impact. Well, I can do it with a lot less internal pressure. And then ironically, I end up doing the actual activities that I would need to do to have the outcome, because I'm not gonna have a big channel and make a big impact without posting regularly, right? You see what I'm saying? So this idea of do it to fail has you doing what you would need to do anyway if you were to stand any chance of hitting the moon. And along the way, even if you don't hit the moon, you'll still end up amongst the stars, as the corny cliche goes. But now you're doing it with a lot less internal pressure. You eliminate the fear of failure because you expect to fail. So now you're doing it just for the story, just for the fun, just for the mental exercise of it. So it actually puts you in a much more relaxed state, which is really key for actually succeeding. And so take any goal that you've got, and what I named here was like really repetitive things you could do. 25 sales calls, approach 25 women, post 25 videos. But maybe you've got something else that's unique. Like, for example, for me, I've been dying to get back into car racing. So for me to get back into car racing, specifically racing in the GT4 class, in the SRO series, taking 25 moonshots or worthy fails there per quarter. It doesn't have to be 25 per quarter, right? It could be 10 a week, 5 a week, it could be 100 a quarter, whatever you want to map out. But, there's not going to be all repetitive things. So 5 of those moonshots for me could be calling on potential sponsors, right? 5 or 10 of those could be calling on people who have a racing team and seeing if, I can't work out some kind of an arrangement with them where they are willing to do revenue share on the back end instead of me having to pay a bunch of money up front. Just as a hypothetical example, right? Another example could be me calling on identifying who the 5, let's say, best coaches, driving coaches are for the GT4 class, and calling on all of them and seeing, if any of them are available to coach me, right? You see what I'm saying? So it's not always 25 the same thing. It's just taking 25 moonshots at moving much closer to that big outcome. And so anyway, Brooke Castillo's framework is 25 per quarter. I feel like that's a really good sweet spot. You can do 5, 10 per week, 5 a day, whatever it is for you. But the idea is map out, well, first off, get clear on where you want to be. Map out at least 25 worthy fails you can take per quarter, if not more. And then understand you're no longer doing them with the pressure of succeeding, but you're doing it just to fail. And then go fail for fun. And along the way, you just might succeed.